Reading a woman's true intentions can be incredibly challenging. Women rarely communicate their sexual desires as directly or explicitly as men do. The signals they send are frequently ambiguous or contradictory, leaving you guessing about their real feelings. You need to understand what she actually wants before taking action. You don't want to initiate something she's not interested in or face the sting of rejection. I'm going to teach you how to decode women's hidden sexual communications. Mastering this ability will dramatically improve your success and confidence with women. If this content is valuable to you so far, please hit the like button. She starts bringing up sexual topics in conversation, but not in an obvious way. It begins with casual mentions of dating stories, relationship experiences, or comments about attractive people you both notice. She's testing how you react to sexual subjects. Then the conversation gets more personal. She shares details about past relationships, asks what you find attractive in women, or mentions what she likes in men. She might describe a romantic scene from a movie, or talk about what makes good chemistry between people. Pay attention to how she personalizes these discussions. Instead of talking about relationships in general, she starts asking about your preferences specifically. What's your type? Have you ever been with someone like me? What would you do if these questions aren't random curiosity? She remembers everything you say about sexual topics and brings them up later. If you mention you like confident women, she'll reference that conversation days later. If you describe an experience, she'll ask follow-up questions that show she was really listening. Watch for the shift in her voice when these topics come up. She speaks more quietly, forcing you to lean in closer. Her tone becomes more intimate, like she's sharing secrets. The conversation feels different from normal chat. More charged, more personal. When she's genuinely interested, she contributes her own sexual thoughts instead of just asking questions. She shares fantasies, describes what turns her on, or talks about sexual experiences in ways that include you in the mental picture. She's not just curious about your sexuality, she's sharing hers. But here's what most men miss. She escalates these conversations strategically. Each discussion becomes slightly more explicit than the last. What starts as innocent relationship talk gradually transforms into detailed sexual discussion. She's conditioning you to accept increasingly intimate conversation while testing your comfort with sexual topics. The progression follows predictable patterns. First comes relationship history, then attraction preferences, followed by sexual experiences, and finally explicit fantasies and desires. Each stage requires positive response from you before she advances to the next level. She's not just making conversation, she's conducting sexual reconnaissance. Notice how she reacts when you contribute sexual content to these discussions. A sexually interested woman doesn't just tolerate your sexual thoughts, she encourages them. She asks follow-up questions, shares related experiences, and builds on your sexual topics rather than changing the subject. The timing of these conversations also reveals intent. She brings up sexual topics during private moments, late-night discussions, or situations where emotional intimacy already exists. She's creating sexual mental frameworks during moments when physical escalation could naturally follow. Her eye contact changes completely when sexual interest kicks in. Normal, friendly eye contact follows conversation flow. She looks while listening, glances away while thinking, returns attention during key points. Sexual eye contact breaks these patterns. She holds your gaze longer than necessary, especially during pauses in conversation. Instead of looking away naturally, she maintains eye contact that feels deliberate and intense. This creates moments of tension that wouldn't exist in regular social interaction. Notice where else her eyes go during conversation. She frequently looks at your mouth while you're talking as if she's thinking about kissing you. Her eyes might scan other parts of your body, your hands, chest, or arms in quick glances that she thinks you won't notice. The timing of her eye contact reveals intention. She makes eye contact during sexual comments, holds your gaze when touching you, and looks directly at you when making invitations or suggestions. She's coordinating her eye contact with other signals. Her pupils dilate when she's aroused, making her eyes appear darker and more intense. This happens automatically and can't be faked. If you notice her pupils are larger during your interaction than they were initially, her body is responding to you sexually. Most importantly, her eye contact feels different. There's energy behind it that goes beyond normal social interaction. When you lock eyes, there's sexual tension that both of you can feel. It's not just friendly attention, it's loaded with possibility and desire. The sexually interested woman creates eye contact during moments of physical proximity. When you're close enough to touch, when walking past each other, or during activities that bring you physically near, her eyes seek yours with increased intensity. She's using visual connection to amplify physical attraction. She also uses eye contact to create intimate moments in public settings. By holding your gaze longer than socially appropriate, she creates private connection even when surrounded by other people. This demonstrates comfort with intimate interaction and suggests readiness for private escalation. Watch for how she responds when you maintain strong eye contact in return. Instead of becoming uncomfortable or looking away, she meets your intensity with her own. This creates escalating cycles of visual intimacy that builds sexual tension between you. The quality of her eye contact during serious or emotional conversation also shifts. Instead of the supportive, understanding gaze of friendship, her eyes carry sexual undertones. Even during non-sexual discussions, every interaction becomes charged with sexual possibility through her visual attention. She becomes fascinated with your mouth and starts displaying her own lips more prominently. During conversation, her eyes drift to your lips repeatedly and linger there while you're speaking. This isn't quick social glancing. It's sustained attention that feels obvious once you notice it. Her own lip behaviors increase dramatically. She licks her lips more often, bites her lower lip when thinking, runs her tongue across her lips, or slightly puckers her mouth while looking at you. These actions happen unconsciously when she's imagining intimate contact. Watch how she interacts with drinks and food around you. She might suck on straws in ways that draw attention, lick her fingers after eating, or make comments about how things taste. She's subconsciously demonstrating oral awareness and skill. Her speaking patterns change to emphasize her mouth movements. She speaks more slowly, enunciates more clearly, and may lower her voice to a more sensual tone. Every word becomes an opportunity to display her lips and create intimate atmosphere. She finds excuses to bring oral sensations into conversation. Comments about food, drinks, or physical sensations become more frequent. She might mention being thirsty, talk about flavors she enjoys, or describe physical sensations in detail. The key indicator is when she suggests sharing food or drinks. Offering to feed you something, asking to taste your drink, or suggesting you try something from her plate are all ways of creating intimate oral interaction. She's looking for ways to connect your mouth through shared consumption. The frequency of lip-focused behaviors increases when she's alone with you versus in group settings. Private moments bring out more obvious oral displays because she feels safer expressing sexual interest without social observation. This suggests conscious awareness of her behavior's sexual implications. She also begins making comments about your mouth or smile, compliments about your teeth, observations about how you speak, or comments about your expressions all indicate oral fixation. She's verbally acknowledging her visual preoccupation with your mouth. Notice how she positions herself to maintain clear visual access to your mouth during conversation. She adjusts her seating, changes her angle, or positions herself to optimize viewing of your lips while you speak. This deliberate positioning reveals conscious interest in oral observation. The lip focus extends to how she applies lipstick or lip balm in your presence. Instead of discreet application, she makes it visible and deliberate, often while maintaining eye contact. She's demonstrating lip care and drawing attention to mouth preparation for potential kissing. Her posture and positioning become deliberate tools for displaying her body and creating opportunities for closer contact. She adjusts her position to show off her best features, arching her back to emphasize curves, positioning her legs to display them attractively, or adjusting her clothing to reveal more skin. She eliminates distance between you whenever possible. In group settings, she positions herself closer to you than to others. When sitting, she chooses spots that put her within easy touching distance. When walking, she stays close enough that you might brush against each other. She begins creating justifiable reasons for extended touching. Examining your clothing, checking your jewelry, commenting on your skin or hair, all provide legitimate excuses for prolonged physical contact. These examinations involve more intimate touching than casual social interaction typically includes. The pressure and quality of her touch changes when sexual interest develops. Instead of light social touching, her contact becomes more firm and deliberate. She applies more pressure, uses more of her hand surface, and makes contact that feels more substantial and meaningful. She starts using touch to emphasize points during conversation. Instead of just gesturing, she touches you while making important statements, creating physical connections to her words. This coordinates verbal and physical communication to create stronger overall impact. Her voice transforms when sexual interest develops. She speaks more softly, forcing you to lean closer to hear clearly. This creates intimate proximity while making the conversation feel private and exclusive. Even in public settings, the pitch of her voice often drops, becoming huskier and more sensual. This change happens automatically when she's aroused and can't be consciously controlled. Her normal speaking voice becomes noticeably deeper and more breathy during your interactions. She speaks more slowly and deliberately, creating pauses that feel loaded with sexual tension. Instead of rushing through conversation, she takes her time with words, especially when discussing intimate or personal topics. The pacing becomes almost hypnotic. Listen for the unconscious sounds she makes during conversation. More frequent sighing, soft sounds when you say something she likes, or breathy exhalations that indicate arousal. These vocal responses happen automatically when she's sexually interested. Her breathing patterns change visibly. Deeper, slower breathing that you can observe through chest movement or changes in speech rhythm. Sexual arousal affects breathing in ways that become apparent during close interaction. Her laughter becomes more genuine and frequent. Instead of polite, social laughter, her responses to your humor become more authentic and last longer. Sexual attraction makes everything you say seem funnier and more engaging to her. The vocal changes become more pronounced during emotionally charged moments. When discussing personal topics, sharing secrets, or during moments of increased intimacy, her voice takes on qualities that wouldn't be present during casual social interaction. She begins using your name more frequently during conversation. Instead of generic address, she incorporates your name into statements and questions, creating verbal intimacy that personalizes every interaction. Name usage increases when sexual interest develops. Her vocal volume adjusts to create intimate atmosphere regardless of environment. In loud settings, she speaks quietly to force closer proximity. In quiet settings, she maintains soft tones that preserve intimate atmosphere. Volume becomes a tool for creating closeness. The timing of vocal changes coordinates with other sexual signals. Voice modifications happen simultaneously with increased eye contact, physical positioning, and touching behaviors. This coordination creates comprehensive sexual communication that amplifies overall impact. She starts suggesting activities that create opportunities for private time and physical closeness. These invitations come disguised as innocent activities, but serve as pathways toward intimate interaction. Massage suggestions are extremely common. She might offer to rub your shoulders, ask for a back massage, comment on muscle tension, or create scenarios where therapeutic touch becomes natural. These suggestions are rarely about actual massage. They're about justified intimate touching. She proposes activities that require close proximity. Movie watching becomes cuddling opportunities. Studying together becomes reasons to sit close. Cooking becomes chances for playful interaction. Every shared activity becomes a potential pathway to physical intimacy. Privacy suggestions increase when sexual interest develops. She recommends going somewhere quieter, invites you to her place, suggests activities away from other people, or creates reasons to be alone together for extended periods. Alcohol or relaxation activities get mentioned more frequently. Having drinks together, stress relief activities, or anything that might lower inhibitions and create intimate atmosphere. She's engineering situations where sexual interaction could develop naturally. The timing of these invitations reveals their purpose. She suggests intimate activities when sexual tension is already present, proposes private time after sexual conversation, or coordinates these invitations with displays of other sexual signals. She begins planning future activities that assume ongoing interaction. Instead of single-event invitations, she discusses multiple future encounters, weekend plans, or activities that require extended time together. This demonstrates investment in continued connection. The invitations become more creative and personalized over time. Instead of generic suggestions, she proposes activities based on your interests, preferences, or things you've discussed. This personalization shows investment in learning what appeals to you specifically. She starts suggesting activities that occur in increasingly intimate settings. Public activities give way to semi-private suggestions, which evolve into completely private invitations. The progression moves steadily toward environments where sexual interaction becomes possible. The enthusiasm with which she extends these invitations also escalates. Initial suggestions might be casual, but they become more eager and invested as sexual interest develops. Her excitement about spending time alone together becomes increasingly obvious. She unconsciously copies your body language, speech patterns, and energy levels. This synchronization happens automatically when sexual attraction develops and indicates deep psychological connection beyond normal social interaction. Her posture starts matching yours. If you lean back, she leans back. If you cross your arms, she adopts similar positioning. If you change your stance, she adjusts hers accordingly. This mirroring happens without conscious thought, but creates visual harmony between you. Speech patterns begin synchronizing. She adopts similar speaking pace, matches your volume levels, and unconsciously repeats phrases or expressions you use. This vocal coordination makes conversation flow more naturally and creates deeper connection. Energy levels coordinate automatically. If you're excited, she becomes more animated. If you're calm, she relaxes. If you're intense, she matches that intensity. This emotional synchronization creates the feeling that you're on the same wavelength. Movement coordination becomes apparent during activities. Walking pace matches, gesture timing aligns, and physical actions become harmonized. This coordination facilitates continued interaction and makes everything feel more natural. The mirroring extends to preferences and opinions. She finds herself agreeing with you more, adopting similar viewpoints, or discovering shared interests that weren't apparent initially. Sexual attraction creates psychological alignment that goes beyond surface-level agreement. This synchronization is reliable because it can't be consciously manufactured for extended periods. Authentic mirroring emerges from genuine attraction and connection rather than deliberate social behavior. The mirroring becomes more obvious during private interactions compared to group settings. When alone together, the behavioral synchronization intensifies because social performance pressure is reduced and authentic responses emerge more freely. She begins adopting your mannerisms and expressions even when you're not present. Friends might comment that she's picked up your way of speaking or behaving, indicating that the mirroring has become internalized rather than just situational. The synchronization extends to breathing patterns during close interaction. When sitting or standing near each other, her breathing rhythm gradually aligns with yours, creating physiological harmony that enhances feelings of connection and intimacy. Her emotional responses to external stimuli start matching yours more closely. If something amuses you, she finds it funnier. If something bothers you, she becomes more annoyed. This emotional mirroring creates shared perspective that strengthens psychological bonding. She displays subtle possessive behaviors designed to claim your attention and discourage other women from competing for it. These territorial instincts emerge when genuine sexual interest develops. Positioning becomes strategic when other women are present. She places herself between you and attractive women, creates physical barriers that limit other women's access, or positions herself to maintain visual prominence in your field of view. Her behavior escalates when other women show interest in you. She becomes more touchy, increases her sexual signaling, or engages in subtle competitive displays to outshine potential rivals. The competition brings out more obvious sexual communication. Future planning enters conversations more frequently. She talks about things you could do together, places you might go, or experiences you could share. These suggestions create the impression of ongoing connection while excluding other people from the mental picture. Jealousy displays provide definitive proof of sexual investment. Visible discomfort when you interact with other attractive women, changes in mood when attention shifts away from her, or increased attention-seeking behavior when she perceives competition. She monitors your responses to other women carefully and adjusts her own behavior accordingly. If you seem interested in someone else, she escalates her own sexual signaling. If you ignore other women's advances, she relaxes and becomes more confident. The intensity of these territorial behaviors correlates directly with her level of sexual interest. Mild attraction produces subtle possessive signs, while intense desire creates obvious competitive behavior that's difficult to miss. Her communication patterns change when discussing other women in your life. Instead of casual interest in your social connections, she asks detailed questions about female friends, co-workers, or acquaintances. This intelligence gathering reveals concern about potential competition. She begins inserting herself into your social activities more frequently. Invitations to group events, suggestions to meet your friends, or requests to accompany you to social functions all serve to establish presence in your social circle and monitor potential threats. The territorial behavior extends to digital interaction. Increase social media engagement with your posts, commenting on photos with other women, or ensuring her presence is visible in your online social activity. Digital territory becomes as important as physical territory. She starts making subtle claims about your relationship status to others, referring to future plans together, discussing shared experiences, or speaking about the relationship in ways that suggest greater commitment than actually exists. These verbal claims establish territory through implication. If you're recognizing these signs in your interactions with women, if this analysis is helping you understand signals you've been missing, I encourage you to like this video and subscribe to this channel. These patterns will help you recognize when women are genuinely sexually interested versus just being friendly.